Well, hey y'all. I'm Meg McElwain, Mitchell's mom and executive director of Mitchell's Fund. I'm supposed to be welcoming you to the pre-party from the new state-of-the-art theater on the campus of Queen's University in Charlotte. But in true Meg fashion, I'm running late because of hair and makeup. My board chair is an attorney and he is going to kill me. But I hope you enjoy the pre-party from my hometown in Grenada, Mississippi. My Uncle Bud Bays and his friends are bringing it.
Mom, come on, we gotta go.
I'm coming, Frank. I'm coming. Enjoy the pre-party. Sit back, relax. We've got an amazing show planned for you tonight. We've got inspirational speakers and music, and I'll see you guys from the theater at 7 o'clock.
Hey y'all, so glad you're here and can join us live in Grenada, Mississippi. We're here in our downtown, and this happens to be Mitchell's mom's hometown. She grew up here and has really fond memories and is really excited to have this pre-party be here filmed at one of our local businesses, Square Market, here tonight. Mississippi is known for its music and its hospitality, and guess what? We got lots of that for y'all tonight. Bud Bays has put together a killer band tonight, and they are ready and waiting at Square Market. And y'all just go on and get your own favorite beverage and sit down, relax, and let's get this pre-party started.
Get up, Jake, it's late in the morning, rain is pouring, you got work to do. Get up, Jake, no use in crying, you can tell me that you're dying, but I know it's not true. Me and Jake, we work down on the river, for the ferry bound to go. No, Jake, don't rise up in the morning. Get up, Jake, late in the morning, rain is pouring, you got work to do. Get up, Jake, no use in crying, you can tell me that you're dying, but I know it's not true. Grab Dave and take it to the cleaners, wild whiskey to your grave. River woman, don't come no closer. Jake ain't got no time to say. Get up, Jake, it's late in the morning, rain is pouring, they got work to do. Get up, Jake, no use in lying, you can tell me that you're dying, but no, it's not true. Dirty Danny hails from Savannah, got a mean streak in his eye. Him and Jake both wanted Annabella. Looks like one man here has got to die. Get up, Jake, it's late in the morning, rain is pouring, we got work to do. Get up, Jake, no use in crying, Annabelle's crying, and it's all for you. Well, I ride a mail train, babe, ain't that still? I've been up all night, never want you when the train get loud.
One, two, three.
Cajun moon, what does your town line as you move across the southern sky? You took my faith way too soon. What have you done, Cajun moon? Someday, babe, when you want your man, fine and gone, slide the wind. Pay no mind whatever you do, 'cause Cajun moon to kill for you. Cajun moon, dust your Carolina as you move across the southern sky. 'Cause my babe, way too soon. Have you done, Cajun moon? Daylight fades, the night comes on, in the silence of this song. Pay no mind whatever you do, because they done got me like they done got you. Cajun moon, does your power line as you move across the southern sky? You took my babe way too soon. There you do, Cajun moon. Oh, yeah, you took my baby way too soon. Have you done, Cajun moon?
I didn't see that turnaround coming.
1, 2, 3, and.
Blues trying to drive me away from home. Blues follow me all day long. Blues follow me all day long. I'm begging you, please, please, Mr. Blues, please, please, leave me alone. Well, I'm
Come in with a vocal right there.
Yeah, I was gonna come in.
I don't think I'm gonna touch it.
I got the key to the highway. Build out and town to go. I got to leave you running here, walking home too slow. I'm going back. Where I've been known, 'cause you ain't done nothing, babe. Drove your good man away from home. Now in the mood, keep going down. Love, I'll be on my way. I'm gonna roll this old highway till the break of day. Now give me one more kiss, baby. One more kiss before I go. 'Cause when I leave this time, baby, no, I won't be back home. I got the key to the highway. Build out and down go. But leave him running late. Walking is more good flow.
Can you tell him what your name is?
Mitchell was born on February 27th, 2012. He was healthy and he was beautiful. We brought him home. It was just a very happy time for our family.
It was the three boys I mean, it just was a time where we actually got to be a regular family, and that was the most special time of my life, really.
1, 2, hold on to the sides. 3.
Go, Mitchell!
I played with him everywhere, and he was really cute.
So we went to the pediatrician, and almost immediately I thought something's wrong. And he said, well, Mitchell's blood work has come back and we've contacted the hospital. They're getting a bed ready for you. We want you to go directly to the hospital. He said, Meg, where is Big Frank? I said, stop. What are you saying to me? He said, Meg, the best case is he's got an infection in his blood. The worst case is it's cancer. Now this is a 3.5-month-old baby. I'm telling him over and over, it's okay, you're safe, I'm right here, it's okay. And that's pretty much what I did for the next 2 years. I know, baby, I know. That is your worst nightmare, because he never did anything to deserve what was handed to him.
When you look at your child and you see that they're struggling, they're in pain, they can't sleep, they're on drugs that are making them nauseated, it changes you. And I was kind of faced with my own child's mortality.
So this is what Mitchell looked like. He was 2 when he died because he had cancer, and he went to heaven.
After Mitchell was diagnosed, it just became very clear to us that it was our responsibility to turn that around and help other people. Mitchell's Fund serves the social needs that are associated with a medical illness. Because when a parent has got a child that is screaming because the chemo has given them ulcers all throughout their body, they can't walk, they're not eating, the last thing that parent needs to worry about is how they're going to pay a $700 mortgage or a $250 car payment. You never know what is coming next on this road to fight pediatric illness. We want to help.
As a people, we really need to focus on educating ourselves about what these families actually go through and what it is that keeps these parents up at night. Cancer is a very expensive disease. The last 6 weeks of Mitchell's life cost more than $1 million in medical bills. And if by having the courage to tell the story, tell people how we really have felt through all of this, it could make a difference, then to me, that's the silver lining in losing your child to cancer.
Mitchell changed so many people's lives when he was here. We want to keep Mitchell's legacy alive.
Mitchie, are you having fun?
And if I could have had Mitchell's life different, I would. You can't make it better. You can't take it away, but you can help by giving. And giving to something that you know will make a difference. And Mitchell's Fund is making a difference for families with sick children. Good evening, and welcome to Prescription for Hope with Mitchell's Fund, sponsored by the Novant Health Foundation. I'm Meg McElwain, Executive Director and Mitchell's mom. We've got a great night planned for you. We're excited that you're here. We hope to inspire you, and we hope that you will give generously to help families in the crisis of a life-threatening pediatric illness. But before we get too deep, there's somebody special I really want you to meet. I'd like to introduce you to Ashley Anderson. Ashley has been a special friend to me personally and to Mitchell's Fund since inception. Ashley is a media personality with WCCB here in Charlotte. She's a philanthropist, and I cannot tell you what a dedicated friend she is. Ashley.
Hello, hello.
Hello. I have something special for Ashley. I'd like for you to unwrap it. Ashley is being recognized tonight as Mitchell's Light because she has really effortlessly helped me keep my Mitchie's light alive. And so that when it came time,
Oh, I love this.
So this is the guardian angel from McCarty Pottery.
I knew it was McCarty.
Ashley and I both are Ole Miss alumni, and so that is a special pottery from our state, and I just appreciate everything you've done for us.
Well, I will treasure this. Thank you, Meg.
You are welcome.
Put this down and just take this off so you guys can hear me a little bit better. But thank you, Meg. I am honored and humbled to be recognized as Mitchell's Light this year. But when I think of Mitchell's Light, I think of his devoted mom, of Meg. From the moment of his diagnosis, Meg, you were open and vulnerable, and you shared your experiences with us. You wrote for the Charlotte Observer. You wrote freely on social media. And you know, most of us will never experience firsthand the grief and the trauma of losing a child, but we will have friends and family members and community members go through that experience. And by you sharing your grief journey with us, that helps us be better community members to everyone. The way that you keep Mitchie's memory alive is what inspires all of us to help keep his memory alive as well. And what inspired me the most was at the inception of Mitchell's Fund, when you guys got that horrible diagnosis, you and Mitchell's dad created Mitchell's Fund in the hospital. You were in the middle of your own confusion and grief, and you saw a need in other families, and you reached out to fill it, and that is so inspiring. So I'm so happy to accept this honor tonight, because I know it means more people will learn about the amazing work that you guys do in the community.
Josh Daniel is a North Carolina singer-songwriter and multi-instrumentalist whose passion and enthusiasm are evident every time he takes the stage. Josh describes his sound as rock and roll, but it is so much broader than that. Josh is able to mold his influences into a unique sound that is entirely his own. Tonight, Josh will talk about his family, especially Sonny, his 2-year-old son, who was born with a rare genetic disorder called Asperger's syndrome, which causes bone and soft tissue fusions and can delay brain and growth development. Sonny's prognosis is good, but he's required to undergo a series of surgeries to correct the defects. Josh's family has used mental health services to cope with the stress of his son's illness.
Welcome, Josh Daniels.
Hey everybody, I'm so happy to be here, happy to be a part of Mitchell's Fund today. Just wanted to give you a little backstory about my family and my little boy, Sonny. He was born 3 years ago, 2017, December 10th. He was born with a rare genetic syndrome that we did not know about until he was born. So when he came out into this world, we were so excited, but we were also worried because there was something wrong. So we were very nervous, very, very scared. They whisked him away right away. And as you can imagine, it was a shock to my wife and I. We just didn't know what was going on. We didn't know, was he sick? Was it something else? We just didn't know. So it was very, very frightening. And the stress of medical procedures that were going to need to be done, a stay at Levine for over a week, as you can imagine, it's a lot to bear when you're just expecting, a normal, beautiful birth, just like my daughter was born 2 years before that, and it was just a wonderful experience. This was a very stressful, very scary experience. We, immediately we spoke to our families about it. They comforted us. They were able to, pray with us and help us get through the initial shock. But I'll tell you, maybe the fourth or fifth person that we spoke to about this was our therapist. And it's very important to have someone like that that's a professional that you can talk to about these things. It's just different than talking to even to your own mom or dad or family members. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna start over. Sorry.
Man,
I didn't think that I would
I love it.
get.
Just keep going from
Okay.
there.
So it was very important that we were able to speak with our therapist about this, and I can't stress the importance of having him in our lives at this difficult time, still in our lives now. And he was in our lives previous too, so we were kind of already set up to have that kind of support. And I just think that what Meg's doing here is just a beautiful thing. This nonprofit is going to help folks that have even a more stressful experience. My little boy is thriving right now. He's doing well. He's gone through a surgery already, and he's going to have a few surgeries coming up. And we've gotten a lot of help from the community and some nonprofits just with the stress of that and the cost of surgery, and just help on every level. And it's been just tremendous. And I can't stress enough that how much this is needed for folks that are dealing with a life-changing event like a child being sick or diagnosed with something. It's unbelievable. And the mental health is such a giant piece of it that sometimes gets swept under the rug, I feel. And we, that you see a lot of fundraisers to help with surgeries and things like that, or providing meals. But this is something that's needed for anyone that has this type of situation or any type of situation going on. And it's just a huge part, and I'm so thankful to be a small part of this. And just grateful for our community here in Charlotte. I'm grateful for my family, my wife's family, and Meg as well. So I'm happy to be a part here, and thank you for having me.
I want to introduce you to one of the bravest moms I know, April Robson. April's 3-year-old daughter, Charlotte, has a rare terminal disease called leukodystrophy that destroys the white matter of her brain. Char was diagnosed when she was only 2 years old. Thank you, April, for being here tonight to share part of your journey with us. April Robson.
My name is April Robeson. I am the mother of 3 perfect children. Camille is 6. Charlotte now is 4.5. And Lachlan is 2. And we are a very normal family, but we have a couple things that make our story a little bit different. And thank goodness that I'm here today to be able to talk about Mitchell's Fund and how vital they are to where we are today. So Charlotte had a perfectly normal birth. Everything was great. She hit milestones. She has always just had these big, beautiful eyes and this sweet spirit. She's our cuddle bug of the trio. And she did not start walking at the age of 1, which is fine. And then 1 turned into 1.5, and then 1.5 turned into 2. And at that point, we also noticed a lot of other changes that were happening with Shari, and just small things like toys that she loved before that she never played with anymore. She stopped trying to walk. She started slumping over. She stopped trying to even crawl. She just cried a lot, and we didn't know what was happening. I was very pregnant, but just going all over town trying to find out what is happening to our little girl. when she was 2 years and 3 months old is when we first heard this word leukodystrophy. It's very rare. It's genetic, which is hard as a parent to bear that burden, and there is no cure. It is a terminal illness, and you can provide comfort care, and you can help them out with some of the parts of the condition that are painful and scary for her. So our job now is just trying to provide her with her happiest life. She wants to be a normal 4.5-year-old that doesn't watch baby cartoons anymore and doesn't play with baby toys anymore. She wants to spend time with her siblings, and she wants to just be loved on by my husband and me. So that's what we focus on. But it can be hard when you're so focused on your child, your children, especially under a really difficult circumstance like this, to also take care of yourself. That's one of the things that Meg has talked to me about, is that we are only as good as the strength that we have to be that kind of parent we need to be. Having our counseling services covered by Mitchell's Fund has truly been a lifesaver for our family. Individual counseling, couples counseling, the odds are stacked against us as a husband and wife who are in a scenario like our families. So I do know about myself that if it weren't for Mitchell's Fund, I probably would not be in counseling right now. On the other hand, I think counseling makes me a better mom, a better caregiver, a better wife, probably a lot more fun of a person for Shari to be around. And for that, I will be eternally grateful. So with that said, the support of a foundation like Mitchell's Fund, I think, is key for families like ours. It really is a life raft.
And now for a special part of tonight's program, our keynote speaker, Devin Steele. Devin is a former NFL lineman who recently celebrated 5 years cancer-free for his daughter, Leah. And tonight he will share their family story and how they found hope and resilience. Leah became the public face of pediatric cancer when she was diagnosed with stage 4 neuroblastoma in 2014 and given only a 50-50 chance of surviving, all while her father was trying to earn a spot on the Cincinnati Bengals. Devin is the winner of the Jimmy V. Espy Award for Perseverance, People Magazine's Dad of the Year, the 2018 Penn State Alumni Achievement Award, and former All-American and Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. Welcome, Devin Steele.
Thank you for that introduction, Meg. It's an honor to be here today to share my family's story amongst all the amazing and powerful stories that we've heard from families thus far. Like many of those stories, our lives were flipped upside down in a blink of an eye. One day I was living out my dreams of playing in the NFL, and the next day, my world came crashing down. I remember it like it was yesterday, June 2nd, 2014. I had just flew home from Cincinnati's off-season workouts to Delaware to be there for Leah's first dance recital. It was so important for me to be there because I remember when I was growing up, although my parents were divorced, every time I looked up in the stands at my basketball games and my football games, they would be sitting right next to each other, cheering me on, supporting me. So when I got older, I knew I needed to be that same support system for my kids as my parents were for me. So like I said, I flew home to be in that crowd for Leah's dance recital so that when she looked out into the crowd, she would see her dad cheering her on. She was excited. I was excited. The whole family was excited. But she never made it to that dance recital. That morning, Leah was feeling lethargic. She wasn't eating. She was running a fever. Just something wasn't right. So I ended up taking her to her emergency room, praying that doctors could give her some sort of medicine to help her get back to being her normal self so that she could participate in her dance recital, because I knew how important it was. I knew how excited she was to show everybody the hard work that she had been putting in. But the doctors ended up running more tests on her than I thought. First, they took her blood. And when they came back with the results, they had told us that it could be a number of 10 different things that was wrong with her. The last thing they said was cancer. And because they said it as the last thing on the list, I didn't think that there was a big chance of it being cancer, or else they would have put it higher on the list. They decided to give her an ultrasound. And as they were going over her abdomen, they had saw a large mass in her stomach. So they decided to send her upstairs to get an MRI and a CAT scan. Me playing football for over 13 years and having plenty of injuries, I understood how long that a MRI or a CAT scan takes. About 45 minutes. But at this point, we were hitting the 2-hour mark. And I remember sitting in the lobby and I looked over at her mom and I said, listen, get ready because I think they're about to come out and say that she has cancer. And sure enough, 10 minutes later, the doctor comes walking through the double doors. And as she's approaching us, I could see her lips start shaking before she says anything. And I knew that she was about to say that Leah has cancer. And although I had been preparing myself for the moment to hear the doctor said this, when she said it, it was like a train just hit me. I froze. I didn't know what to do. All I could think about was that promise that us as parents make to our kids the first time that we hold them in our arms, the first day they come into this world. Because I remember that promise when I told Leah that I was going to do everything I could to provide for her and to protect her. And at that moment, I felt like I failed as a dad because I couldn't protect her for what she was about to go through. I couldn't protect her for what the doctor had just told us, that she had been diagnosed with stage 4 neuroblastoma and only given a 50% chance of surviving. All the moments that I had looked for as a dad was now in jeopardy. The moments where I got to watch her grow up, go to high school, go off to prom, graduate, go to college, and as a dad be able to scare her first boyfriend that she brought home. I felt like I failed. But in that moment, I also realized that us as parents, we're not always supposed to protect our kids from pain, because a lot of the time, pain produces purpose. So instead of blaming myself for everything that she went through, which I did for the first couple of weeks, wondering what I could have did differently, if I could have fed her something different, if I could have made her drink something different, I decided to really step up and let her know, although she had dark days ahead of her, she wouldn't have to walk through the dark alone. Although she would have painful days ahead of her, she wouldn't have to go through that pain alone. That I was going to be there every step of the way. In the first couple of weeks, I remember me just talking to other parents who were in the hospital and hearing all of the struggles that they were going through. You see, I was in a unique position where I was playing in the NFL, making a lot of money, right? So I had the insurance to cover for most of Leah's treatment. I had the money to travel back and forth. I had the money to eat. I had the money for parking. But a lot of families in the hospital didn't. In fact, I met a little girl while we were drawing inside the art room who was about 9 years old. And when me and Leah walked into that room, we decided to sit with her because we didn't want her to be alone. And as we sat with her, she started to tell us how she oftentimes spent time inside the hospital alone because she came from a single parent household and her mom had to leave to go to work to make sure the lights were still on at home. And it crushed me to see that a parent had to make that decision to leave their sick child in the hospital to make sure they could still afford their bills. And as I talked to more parents in the hospital, I realized that she wasn't the only child or families who were going through this, but a majority of the families did. You see, when families are diagnosed with cancer, they lose about 40% of their annual household income due to cancer treatment work-related disruption. And I knew as a football player that I had a platform to make people listen. So I decided that I was going to go public with our story because I wanted to help those families out. I wanted to bring a voice to the voiceless. The families who were in the hospital fighting before us, the families who were in the hospital fighting with us, and unfortunately, the families who would be in the hospital fighting after us. I wanted to use my platform to show people what it's like for families who are battling cancer. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And although I was doing this to help out other families, I realized that I was helping us out more than I was probably helping them. Because it gave our fight with cancer a purpose. I knew that Leah wouldn't be going through this in vain, that we would be able to help out thousands and thousands of families who were battling cancer. And it wasn't easy. There were times where I wanted to give up. There were times where we wanted to throw in the towel. If you watch some of my interviews, I couldn't even hold it together in my interviews because what I was talking about was crushing me on the inside. But I never gave up because I knew that we had those families dependent on us. And if we threw in the towel, then we would be giving the message to those families that it was okay to give up. So we continued to fight. And after 2 clinical trials, after the cancer had just went from being in her hip to being in Leah's chest, her head, her neck, and even in her back, she pulled through and she went into remission. And a couple of months ago, she reached her 5-year mark, which means she's cancer free. But although she has passed that part of her treatment, the battle still goes on. Because when you think about cancer, when you think about a kid battling cancer, you usually only focus on the physical impact that it has on the kid. But rarely do people talk about the mental and emotional impact that it not only has on the kid, but that it has on the family as a whole. I shared my story with you of how I struggled, how I felt like I failed as a dad to protect my daughter from cancer. The struggle was real. There was a lot of things that I had to battle mentally. A lot of time I had to spend in counseling just working through what cancer did to our family. There's a lot of time that Leah had to spend in counseling just working through what cancer did to her, both physically and mentally. There were a lot of days we stayed up with her asking, is she still beautiful after losing her hair, losing her eyebrows, losing weight? Her asking why she can't just go to school like the rest of her friends. Her asking why she can't go to the playground or why she can't walk outside without a mask on. Right? Her asking why she just can't enjoy her childhood. Those type of things don't end when the cancer treatment stops. It sticks with you for the rest of your life. It's something you constantly have to work on. Her wondering why she looks in the mirror and sees scars from her surgery, sees scars from her Broviac catheter, sees scars from her ports, sees scars for her biopsies. It's a lot for a family to deal with. It's a lot for a child to deal with. That's why I'm so grateful that there's foundation like Mitchell's Fund out here who really raises awareness for this type of thing. Because like I said, the mental, the emotional impact that a cancer diagnosis has on a family and on a child is not talked about a lot. So I'm asking you today, if you can, to support their fight. Like I'm inspired by the work that Meg and Frank are doing. I'm inspired how they've been able to take their pain and turn it into purpose. I'm inspired about how they've been able to recycle their family's pain and use it to make a huge impact and make a huge difference in other people's lives. You know, one of the biggest regrets that I had is that I didn't step up and help the fight against childhood cancer earlier. It took for my daughter to get diagnosed for me to really step up and champion this fight. And I pray for those of you who are watching this that you never get to find out what it's like for a family to battle cancer by experiencing it, but only by listening to our stories. But we all have to do our part to make sure that families and other other parents don't suffer like we have. Because every year, 15,000 kids are diagnosed with cancer. That means 15,000 families will hear that they're in jeopardy of losing their child. And they need to know that there are organizations out here like Mitchell's Fund who will be with them every step of the way to help them fight this battle against cancer. So thank you again for having me here tonight, and let's raise some money.
What a great night. Thank you to everyone who has made this night so special. My name is Meg McElwain, and I am Mitchell's mom. My greatest accomplishment in life is that God chose me to be Frank and Mitchell's mom. Mitchell's father, Frank Turner, is here with us tonight. And our 11-year-old son, Frank, is here too. I tell him that he is my one and only because Jesus takes care of Mitchie and I get to take care of him. Thank you to our sponsors, especially to our presenting sponsor, Novant Health Foundation. We couldn't do this without you. Mitchell has been gone almost 7 years. That's hard to believe. He would be in 3rd grade. It's hard for me to imagine what he would be like today, but I try anyway. I think he'd be a rough and tumble boy because he was a fighter when he was here. The strand of beads that I am holding are Mitchell's Beads of Courage. This is a national nonprofit that hospitals use, and Child Life manages it to help families and patients record their journey with a critical illness. When Mitchell was diagnosed, the Child Life professionals at the hospital introduced me to this program. There's a daily journal where I would track all of the medical procedures: chemotherapy, blood transfusions, pokes, lumbar puncture, chemo in his spine, antibiotics, neutropenia, and acts of courage. Every morning, I would sit and mark Mitchell's procedures from the day before. Some days he got up to 10 beads. Mitchell's strand of beads are over 45 feet long, and they are priceless to me because they represent his journey. They now serve as a tangible way to show how hard my sweet boy fought. He endured so much. Mitchell Bays Turner lived 774 days. The yellow are for the 184 days he spent in the hospital. The red beads are for the 75 blood transfusions. The white, he took 417 chemo treatments. Almost every day he had more than one treatment, and I had to learn to administer chemo at home. The green are for the 457 days he was in isolation, that our family was in isolation. There's one for his first steps, for when he said mama the first time, and when he went home for the first time after 64 days in the hospital. And then there's a butterfly at the end, from where God released him and took him home. Mitchell is not the only one who suffered in those 2 years. I suffered, and our family suffered. At the beginning of the diagnosis, lots of people rallied around us. Friends organized meal delivery. They brought gifts, and they wrote us notes. But 2 years is a long time, and I became isolated from others because I was living in a hospital and forced to keep Mitchell in isolation too. My friends wanted to support me, but their scheduled lives were normal, and mine was completely out of control. The mental health impact for me was very intense. I describe it as feeling like someone took my brain and shook it. Any innocence that I had left before Mitchell was diagnosed was completely lost. During that time, I felt desperate, and I wanted to do something. I wanted others to know how awful this disease was, and I wanted to save my child and the other children that I saw suffering. I was angry. I was really tired of people telling me how strong I was. I wanted them to get just a small glimpse of the shock I was feeling. So I decided to shave my head. I shaved my head to make a statement. I wanted to shock people. I wanted to be a voice for the pain and the suffering. And it was one of the most liberating things I have ever done. Mitchell lived almost a full year after I shaved my head, but then his cancer returned, and the chemotherapy drugs were just too much for his sweet little body, and it put him into organ failure. He was transferred to the pediatric ICU, and one night at 3 o'clock in the morning, I made the decision, well, I was forced with the decision, to put him on life support so he could get some rest. When there was no more hope, Mitchie's dad and I had to make the same decision that so many other families face and turn the life support machine off and leave the hospital without him. Walking out of the hospital without my baby is one of the hardest things I've ever done. This is Mitchell's Fund, but it's about more than Mitchell. I tell his story, my story, so that I can help others. I want to inspire others with our pain. Mitchell's Fund is honored to fund the counselor position at the St. Jude Affiliate Clinic. Cancer does more than damage a patient's body. Living and fighting in the experience does emotional and mental damage too. Having a registered play therapist to counsel patients only makes outcomes better. In the past year, the Mitchell's Fund counselor worked with over 200 sick children and their families to help process the shock of diagnosis, the pain and anxiety from treatment, and in some cases, help them prepare for the end of life. Mental health is a hot topic in our nation, even more so due to the pandemic. Mitchell's Fund wants to make a difference in the area of pediatric mental health. Financial support for pediatric mental health is limited, and that is why we have chosen this as our mission and why we need your help. Supporting the mental well-being for sick children and their families includes reducing stress by paying their bills and also providing counseling services to help them cope. We need your financial support to be able to do that. Right now, there are families standing with their sick children who are worried and feel very alone. I know because I've been there. These are parents who are at their child's bedside and they're worried about missing work. They're afraid they might get fired, and they wonder how they're going to pay their bills because their child needs them. Help us change that. Help us reduce the stress for families with sick children. Please be generous and consider making a tax-deductible donation to Mitchell's Fund tonight. Every dollar counts. Think about the healthy children in your life. Give a gift today in honor of them. Helping others is the ideal way to show gratitude for the gifts in your own life. You can make a difference by giving today. The information is on your screen. Please be generous. My Christian faith tells me that Mitchell's death is not the end. He is safe, and I will see that sweet baby again. My one and only little Frank will grow and live a full life, and my hope is that your children will too. But my Mitchie will always be 2 years old, and he's waiting for me. When I get to heaven, don't cry one tear for me, because I will be able to rock that baby for all eternity. Thank you, and God bless.
May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars, climb on every rung and make it stay forever young. up to be true. May you always know the truth and see the light surrounding you. May you always be courageous, stand upright and strong, and may you stay forever young. Forever young, forever young. May you stay forever young. May your hands always be busy, may your feet always be swift. May you have a strong foundation when the winds of change shift. May your heart always be joyful, may your song always be sung, may you stay forever young. Forever young, forever young. May